So here's the spot that I chose to mount my Evo. Now, it's far enough from all of this stuff, so I don't have to worry about the tilt wheel, the steering knuckle, or any of that stuff getting in the way. Also, this is all loomed up, so that's going to be nice and secure. And over here, my plan is to take it, pull it on. I'm going to put a wire tie on there so that way I can run that down, over, across, and up here to my ignition harness, so that way all those connections will be nice and snug. Lastly, I'll run my programming switch down underneath the panel, so that way I have an area to program it. And also, knowing that I'm not done with my installation, I have to also expose myself to see the diagnostic LEDs for programming in that, and also access the programming switch, which is located right here. I left this one wire tie off until absolutely last, until I'm done, so that way when I'm finally done programming and I can assure myself I know that it works perfectly, then I can finish mounting it up, put the sub dash back on the car, and that should be it. The first wire I'm going to connect is going to be this parking light right here. So I pulled the harness down, I stripped back some of the insulation, and I want to show you. I'm using like my hook tool here. I poke a little hole in there. So I take that like a fishing line, I stick my wire through, I close it up, and then I wrap it around and I insulate it. It's a good way to connect onto a wire. It's foolproof, never falls out. Now on my parking light wire, I'm just going to take a scrap piece of wire just lying around. And since this car has CAN bus technology as well as multiplexing technology, this car and most Dodges, Chryslers, Jeeps and all that stuff use resistors like crazy. When they first came out, I used to call them resistor mobiles. Now you see, if you throw ground on here, it does absolutely nothing. The right resistance, put it in line of the wire you're using to test it out with. You can see the lights are coming on. So that's what you're going to have to do in that case. So you just need a basic, multimeter, test your resistance, put it in line, connect it onto your wire, insulate it, and that's how those are done. When you're done making your connections, make sure you insulate it just like this. When you're done, it should look stock, just like factory, as if you were never even in the vehicle. You'll see when I get done with my whole installation, I'm going to use some more of this 1/4" wire loom, which I use to cover all my connections, just to double secure everything, because I'm just crazy like that. But try to model your work after my work so it's done properly, professionally. It should look just as good as if this dashboard you drove around and showed off to your friends at the car show. Take pride in your work and do it nice and take your time. It's the right way to do wiring. So now my next connection is going to be my ground wire. Now I'm going to go with a factory bolt right here, and I suggest that you try to do the same when you're taking your vehicle apart. If you can find a factory bolt, that's always going to be the best place to go. Now keep in mind that I did an alarm rip out before I'm putting this new install in there, so when I did that I had some other components hanging around that I still have to put back together, like the rear view mirror and this one here, which should be the siren. Just verify everything, is everything it should be before you go ahead and reconnect everything. So I'm going to connect these two in the same spot. I'm going to put that ring on there super quick. Just going to scuff this up to get a good connection. I mean, star washers, getting good connection, that's key when doing any kind of electrical, especially stuff like this. I've seen so much weird stuff go on from poor connections and poor grounds. You couldn't even believe how weird stuff can get. Something so seemingly silly. So when you're doing the ground, do a good ground. Don't mess around with the ground. Tighten that right on there, and then we'll move on over to there. I'll show you the terminals I'm going to use in here. I'm going to use a certain kind of terminal because those wires are way back there, and I don't feel like getting on my back and contorting today. This is my next connection, which is my constant 12 volts connection. This Chrysler has the battery in the trunk and has an auxiliary power point in the hood actually. So there is no constant 12 volts in here that's high current. There's nothing that can take any serious amperage. Not that this Evo is really high current in this particular car, but the heck, I ran out of 10 gauge from the battery, fused it in the back, and I have it running and terminating right here. So I'm just gonna snip off some of this excess wire I have for the Evo. I'm gonna use a butt connector That's where I'm going to get my constant power. For my system. Okay, that's that. Next.